Hey friends, we're your abortion access front feminist buzzkills, and we are here because there is some breaking news out of Texas that we wanted to let you know about and to talk about it with an incredible Texas activist. I'm Liz Winstead, joined always by my partners in crime, Moji Olive Odell.
Hello.
And Marie Kahn.
Hello.
And we are super excited to be able to break down sort of one piece of what is part of a larger scope of horrible anti-abortion shitwittery, I'm just going to call it, that's happening all over the nation. So joining us today is Carolyn Dubel, the political director of ABBOTT, which is formerly NARAL Texas. Carolyn, welcome to this conversation.
Hi, thank you all so much for having me.
Well, we're thrilled to have you here. And from what I understand, there has been 50 pieces of anti-abortion bills proposed in Texas in 2021 alone. And this current batch has some real doozies. Before I go on, I always like to say there is so much happening with anti-abortion extremism in the nation. I think you can't say enough. Abortion remains legal in all 50 states. It is accessible in all 50 states, including Texas. So as we talk about how the oppressors would like to remove abortion out of the landscape of healthcare that people deserve to have whenever they need it, we just want to say that we want to keep you informed so that you can fight back and let folks know that, yes, we demand that abortion be safe, legal, and accessible in all 50 states. So having said that, Carolyn, tell us an overview about this bill, and then we're going to break down some pieces of it that we found especially egregious.
Yeah. So there's a whole series of bills that have been moving really quickly through our state legislature. They started in the Senate. All 7 of them have passed at the Senate and are now in our state House, moving through the committee process. And the worst of them is Texas House Bill 1515. It was known as SB 8 in the Senate. And this bill would ban abortion before most people even know they are pregnant, as early as 6 weeks gestation. So most abortions can't even happen at 6 weeks gestation in Texas because of the time it takes for a person to become aware of a potential pregnancy, confirm that pregnancy, consider their options, consult with their family and doctors, schedule the medical procedure, and on top of that, comply with all of the existing restrictions in abortion on Texas, including a 24-hour waiting period. So essentially, this is a total ban on abortion.
So can you talk, there's a lot of these bills that people have heard of being proposed, right? These heartbeat bills, but Texas is special, right? And there is something within the Texas bill that says you can, a person can just sue or can just charge another person with like breaking the law if they decide that they're contemplating abortion. Can you explain what I am even saying to you right now?
Yeah, honestly, it is truly a doozy. That was the perfect word for it. The Texas heartbeat style ban is uniquely concerning because it would allow any person, Texan or not, to enforce it. Basically, it creates a cause of action that would allow anyone to sue another person for aiding and abetting any Texan who's seeking an abortion. And it's not just for anyone who violates this heartbeat style 6-week ban. It's for any abortion restriction that has ever been put into effect in Texas in the past quarter century. So it opens
the damages.
It actually overrides the Texas Constitution's requirement that a plaintiff has to have injury or have suffered some sort of actual damage to have legal standing. So this could be literally anyone. You don't need to be connected to the patient in any way, shape, or form. You don't have to be affected by the outcome of this abortion at all to sue.
So I could be at home in my basement scratching my ass. And then I overhear my neighbor talking in the backyard about maybe they need to terminate their pregnancy. And then I could feel like I'd like to stop that from happening. So I'm going to file a suit.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It basically opens the door for like an infinite number of like harassing lawsuits. I think that's one scenario. There's a more extreme scenario. A rapist could sue their victim's abortion doctor or family members for helping them get an abortion. And that's a really dark one, but this bill opens the door for that. And I think what the bill was designed to do was to allow, anti-abortion extremists to sue abortion clinics, funds, and their donors over and over again until they are forced to respond to these lawsuits, deplete their resources, and then eventually shutter their doors, because the bill actually says that they can't recuperate attorney's fees.
Wow, Marie, I know this is close to your heart. You want to jump in here?
Yeah, I one of my other hats, Caroline, is that I'm with Midwest Access Coalition, a practical support fund, and we always talk to Jane's like all of the funds, Frontera, everybody down there. And I'm just thinking what that aiding and abetting language means for funds that are licensed nonprofits operating like loud and proud in the world, with Spanish hotlines for their callers to assist folks who are trying to navigate care in Texas or outside of Texas and are currently there. Like this opens folks up to so much liability that are assisting folks through already very legal, very policed measures to begin with while they're trying to access that care. What are your fears in terms of those organizations there with this legislation?
Yeah, I think that's a real concern, and it's very scary. These are organizations who are institutions in Texas and who have provided so much support to people on the ground here who can't afford their abortion, who need a ride to their abortion, who just need a little bit of support and someone to talk to ahead of their abortion. And so it's very scary to think that this could threaten those organizations standing in our communities, because it opens the door for people to harass abortion funds with lawsuits until they're forced to pay for them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they can't collect money back. I think what's really wild is when you just laid it out before, but this idea that like people can have these frivolous lawsuits and then nobody has to pay back nobody has to pay back the attorney fees. And I know like a lot of these anti-abortion groups are really well funded. And I feel like if you could be anywhere, they don't have to be Texas based. They could be from wherever. DC, wherever they're located, and just decide to sue whatever clinics are in Texas that they feel like.
Yeah, it's a huge concern. I think, there's no limit to Texas Republicans' hypocrisy here, especially on this issue. It goes real, real deep. But I mean, conservatives are supposed to be against frivolous lawsuits. It's a total abuse of our civil court system, and it makes a mockery of our system.
It totally cracks me up because like I'm old as dirt, and I remember when the drumbeat from Republicans was tort reform. We have to do tort reform because we have to regulate how many times you can sue. And this literally gives these assholes who create legislation that's unconstitutional just to tie up laws and tie up things and to bankrupt small clinics, the ACLU, people that fight these bills. It's crazy. And also, like, what if, and who's culpable when you talk about aiding and abetting? There was, in reading the materials, somebody made a really good point where they were like, if I was young and said to my mom, let's go to the movie Dirty Dancing. Okay, baby goes to her dad and says, Daddy, I need money. And he says, what for? And she says, I can't tell you. So she brings money and she helps somebody obtain an abortion. Would the dad be responsible if he didn't know why somebody borrowed the money?
Yes, actually.
It's the plot of Dirty Dancing. It's the plot of Dirty Dancing.
And it's going to
you don't even actually have to know that you're helping someone access an abortion.
Wow.
You don't even have to intend to or know that you've helped someone.
That is insane.
Yeah.
So they're trying to cut allies off from already assisting communities and populations that are disconnected and marginalized, under and non-insured. And now they're saying those mutual aid structures, those nonprofits, goodbye. Now you're targets too.
Right. It's like as if the ban wasn't bad enough.
Yeah.
They are also abusing our civil court system and just adding our court system as a weapon in the anti-abortion extremist toolkit as one more way that they can attack and harass patients, doctors, funds. It's really concerning.
I feel like we're going to ban exfoliation at any minute. Like lymph nodes are banned. You're removing cells from the body. It doesn't matter where the cells are. Skin is a cell. I feel like they would go to any lengths.
We keep harping on this part of the bill, but also one of the things I read in there is that they're lowering the medication abortion limit to 7 weeks. Right now, we know it's like 11 weeks, 10 to 11 weeks that it's effective, and lowering it to 7 weeks is essentially saying you can't use it.
Yeah, that bill actually goes against FDA guidelines and puts additional restrictions on medication abortion, which is like the most safe and effective like procedure you can possibly access. It's totally ridiculous.
You know, when I heard about the, just for folks who don't know, when medication abortion was introduced in the US, 7 weeks was where you could get it. And I was doing some research and I talked to a lawyer who works defending abortion cases. And she said that this is the first time this piece has been introduced anywhere in the country. And so it worries me when I hear that, like, this is a first time somebody's tried to lower the medication abortion, you know, gestational period for when you can use it, that it's going to become a national trend. So it feels a little bit like so much of what happens in Texas. It's like the crazy anti-abortion powerful people create model legislation, just like they did back when we watched Wendy Davis, you know, and we forget that that what happened in Texas happened in 26 other states, right? That exact big bomb of terrible bills happened all over the country. Is there a group behind this legislation that is from outside sources, or a powerful anti-abortion group that crafted this law and gave it to some of your crappy legislators to push it through?
Yeah, I mean, these bills are definitely part of a concerted national out-of-state effort to push these through. And there's a lot of Texas-based groups that are kind of funneling it from that national anti-abortion lobby into Texas, like Texas Right to Life, the Human Coalition. There's a ton of anti-orgs who are making this as Texas specific as possible. But it's definitely embarrassing that my home state is often the first to pass these really, really awful bills. It happens more often than I like to think about.
Well, you know, that goes to my next question, which is, don't be embarrassed about your state, because I don't think it's your state. I think it's the circuit court system with which your state lives. And for those that are sort of new to hearing about, like, how does this keep happening, especially in Texas, you have one of the most conservative lower courts in the country, and they would be much more amenable to sort of finding these laws constitutional as a quick path to the Supreme Court, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So why do you think so I guess Moji is thinking about the legislation. I think I'm going to turn it over to you, Moji, just about like where we can go, what we can do.
Yeah, I just wonder, like, where are we with the legislation, and what is the most effective way to stop it? What can we not in Texas do? What can Texans do? And what can the rest of us that care do?
Since apparently everybody outside of Texas is on the other side, what we all got to lean in here, like literally.
Literally everyone is affected by this bill, so everyone should take action. Yeah, there's a lot that folks can do. In Texas, call your reps, call your House reps, call the House Speaker, Data Phelan, and let them know that you are against anti-abortion extremism and you don't want to see these bills become law. Outside of Texas, there's a ton of groups on the ground that need your help. If any of these bills pass, abortion funds are going to need your help more than ever before. We've got some amazing abortion funds here in Texas: Lilith Fund, T Fund, Frontera Fund, Fund Texas Choice. The list goes on, and you can find all of them at the National Network of Abortion Funds. And that's going to be a group who's really going to need our love and our money if any of these bills become law.
Yeah, and we'll put all those organizations in our YouTube. You know, when you read the notes in the YouTube, we're going to link to all of them, so folks, you can go there at any point you're watching this and give your money.
Yes, give your money. Yes, and right now the policy orgs also really need a lot of help. Planned Parenthood Texas Votes, us at Avow, all of us are coordinating and working really hard. ACLU of Texas, Texas Freedom Network. We're all busting our butts, doing everything we can to get these bills hung up in the calendars committee and slow down so that they do not get scheduled for a floor vote. So anything you can do to support us, literally sending a tweet about this will help, talking about it with your friends, letting people know that one of the most extreme abortion bans in the nation is about to pass in Texas. All of these things would be really, really helpful to our cause.
And, you know, it's like folks need to just have a little bit of a set too. It's like, it might be happening in Texas, but it's probably happening in your state. You know, we cover these things constantly, and we know for a fact that Arizona has had 150 bills, anti-abortion bills proposed in 2021. 10 states have proposed outright bans on abortion. Arkansas is facing one of the most critical, horrible ones. Ohio, I could go on and on and on. This is happening everywhere. And so don't think, well, I don't live in Texas. It doesn't matter. If you can't access abortion safely and legally and affordably, then, you know, everyone should get that. And so you're fighting for the autonomy of all people. So thank you for keeping us informed. And will you come back and talk with us and let us know like how we can, as this bill goes forward, if it goes forward, what we can do to try to like squelch it. We want to be helpful in any way we can.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll come back anytime.
Great. Thank you so much, Carolyn. Carolyn Dublin from ABBOTT, formerly NARAL, Texas. Thank you so much for all your work.
Thanks, y'all. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Mhm.